channel, Refuge Tea, here with my Granny's Closet, back with another video for you guys. How is everybody doing? How is midweek Wednesday going? I was a little funky and down and out this morning. I was just kind of like, I don't really want to do anything. I don't want to, you know, you get those blah moments where you're just like, I don't feel like being a functioning part of society today, so I'm just gonna chill and not talk to anybody. Fortunately, I'm a mom and my 3 kids are home for the summer, so I had to get up and do some stuff. Today's video is just going to be about farmers markets versus vendor events and the pros and cons of the farmers market from my perspective and in my opinion. But before we get into today's video, let's get into some admin and intro stuff. If you don't know, now you know. You can find me on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook, all underneath my Granny's Closet 3 Gs. Everything that I make and sell at my farmer's market, I sell at my Facebook page. So if anybody is interested in purchasing or just browsing and seeing the items that I do sell, you can go ahead and check out my Facebook page and take a gander over there. Now, my Granny's Closet 3 Gs is the group page where we go to congregate and conversate about all things yarny and crafty goodness. If you have a question about a vendor event coming up, or if you have questions about a project, just go ahead and comment, post that question there, and one of us will get to you as soon as possible. There are so many people who are gracious enough to answer those questions. That is not me or my moderator. Just ask that you guys be kind in your words and in your encouragement. We do monitor all the things that are being posted and being said and commented on that group page. So if you guys are new here or a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me today. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you guys and all of your kind comments. I look forward to reading them at the end of my days. Sometimes it's a booster after a rough day to read your comments and hear the encouragement that you guys get from my videos. That encourages me as well, and all the things that you guys like to tell me about your day helps me as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, you guys, I stole this shirt from my son because it was large and it was like, I love Looney Tunes, so I'm trying to see where he got this from so I could buy my own. If not, this is mine. This is mine now. Looney Tunes. You got Daffy Duck, Sylvester the Cat, Bugs Bunny, Tweety Bird, Porky the Pig, Daffy Duck. Oh, I already said Daffy Duck. Tasmanian Devil, and the Roadrunner. Love it. When I was a kid, that was my nickname. And when I was in track, that was my nickname. Simply for the fact because I was super fast. I was one of the top 3 fastest runners for our track team in the 100 and the 200 and the 100 meter hurdles, 200 meter hurdles, and in the 4x100 relays. So those were my jams. I love those. I have like permanent shin splints and scars, all of my shins from the hurdles. Yeah. And then Tasmanian Devil, I was labeled that because I collected Taz as well. I had many nicknames as a kid, and I was just always quick with anger, quick with just like, you know, verbal comebacks, and I just kind of spewed nonsense. And you know, I'm older now. I don't know if it's changed much. And I'm pretty sure if my sisters are watching this, they're gonna be like, no, it's not changed at all. All right, you guys, let's get into today's video. We are going to talk about the differences between vendor events and farmers markets. And I'm sure if you guys had seen Vicky from Gotcha Hooked, hey sister friend, that I did kind of touch on it, like maybe 1 or 2 things about that, but I wanted to go into much detail. And I know that I had mentioned that I was going to do this prior or before, and I never really got into it. So today we're going to deep dive into this. All right, here we go. Now for vendor events, it's going to be a doozy, guys. There's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to be giving you about vendor events versus farmers markets. So grab you a cup of joe, grab you a project, come sit down with me, and let's talk about this. All right, I changed locations because I wanted to sit to focus and have less distraction. And with my kids outside right now, they're making lots of noise. It's tons of distractions. I need to focus. And I've already tried to record this portion of the video, I don't know how many times, and it just, I'm just frazzled. So take a break. I ate, gave my kids some chores to do. And so now it's a little quiet. So I'm going to take the time to start out this video. All right, first on the list for vendor events is the one-time event or the annual event. So you can have, for vendor events, an annual event or a one-time thing. So the one-time thing is specific to when, you know, like a club or a school or a church or a women's club or some sort of occasion for the specific reason why they're holding this event is to raise money for their organization or for the area that they live in, to something that will help them financially. So that would be a one-time event. It might even turn into an annual event. And you guys know what annual events are. It's once they have it every season for either Christmas, Halloween, opening of summer, the closing of winter, the beginning of the year, you know, so it's like Valentine's Day. So any kind of special occasion or holiday season or, you know, a specific kind of event. I know that I do annual events for Christmas for my church. I do an annual event at a park for Halloween. I do Juneteenth. I've done it every year except for this year. I do another event for Valentine's Day. So there is the annual events, and then I've done one-time events for a women's club where they provided the table and they provided things inside of a clubhouse, and that was really fun. I really like it. I was doing an annual event for a biker rally. They were bikers, but they are so, I loved doing that event because they were so gracious, so kind. They helped me set everything up when things went flying, when it got too hot, when somebody spilled their drink on my table and they tried to run away. I mean, they helped me because I'd been doing this event for several years, so they knew me. And they supported me all the way. So try to find events like that, like the annual events or the seasonal events. That's the difference between a farmer's market and that kind of vendor event. The next up is for vendor events, it can be a large or a small booth space. Now, how much you're willing to pay for a booth space, you can get as big a space as you require. Like I know they can start from $20 onward to over $1,500. That is no joke. I have done one event. I did it for several years in a row until they stopped doing it at this one small church in the same city that I do my farmer's market in. It was just one table. It was $15. You set up your booth space and you chilled for a couple hours and then you went home. However, there is events like the Harvest Craft Show that they host every season in all over Southern California. So they go in LA County, they go to San Diego County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County. They go all over. We just took my mom there and we asked the lady how much her booth space was. That we knew this woman previously because she used to coordinate events that we would attend as well for several years with her, but then she stopped and she started traveling with this Harvest Craft Show. It costs her $850 for her small little 10 by 10 booth space. Now, anybody who is larger than that can go up to $1,500 in booth space, depending on how large their items are, how much they know that, depending on how lucrative, there we go. I'm so confused right now. How lucrative they know, and they're confident in their product that way. I'm like, shoot, I wish I could be that confident knowing that my stuff is going to sell when I go for, and it's really cool because it's not just a one-day thing. It's a week in this location or maybe several days in this location. So that's another thing, is that vendor events can be a duration, like a long period of time. So if I go to a church event, a school event, it's just going to be for a couple hours. I'm going to set up, sell, pack up, go home. For indoor events that are long, like the Harvest Crusade I mean, Harvest Crusade. I'm thinking of Brave Glory right now. Every time I say harvest, I think of the Harvest Crusade. Harvest craft show, or a holiday event that's, me and my mom used to attend this place in Almani. It was the Parks and Rec Center, and they would hold it for 3 days. It was called the Holiday House. And I grew up going there every Christmas, grew up going there until after COVID, they had to shut down. They couldn't do it any longer. And then when they came back, it's just a smaller little event. It's only 1 day, but you would set up the night before. Your stuff would be locked into this enclosure for 3 days, and you would set up, you would sell for 3 days, and then you shut down and tear down and then leave. So vendor events are that way. You can have several days or several hours in 1 day, and that's just another cool thing about vendor events. Sometimes you can rent tables, canopies, chairs at an extra cost from the organizer or the coordinator. If not, sometimes, and this is the cool part, sometimes the tables and chairs and the canopies are provided for you just at an extra cost that's included in your vendor fee. So example, my church, when I do our Christmas event, our holiday craft show, they provide 1 table, several chairs, as many as you need, and then they give you your booth space, and they set up like this little, they cord it off. Okay, they set up curtains and everything so that it's perfect, solitary. I love the organization of it all. However, they also offer, if you need an extra table, let them know. It is a fee of $25 per extra table, but your booth space is $25. So I have my own tables. You can provide your own without having to rent extra from the church, and you can do that as well. Another event that I attend every holiday season for the Halloween is at a park here in the area that I live, and literally down the street. The first time actually I found out about this event, I was driving home from another event in San Diego. I was driving home. I'd been on the road for 2 hours. I was so exhausted. I just so happened to, like, you know, and I was like, I'm just going to go down this side road. I don't feel like taking the freeway all the way home. I was done with the freeway, got off. I drove down, and then there's lights, there's people setting up, and I was just like, what in the world is this? So I pull over. I saw a friend that I had done farmers markets with before, and I was like, hey girl, she's like, hey, are you going? I was like, I just showed up. I saw this on my way home from another event. She was like, girl, she found the lady, and here's the rule, okay? Here is the rule. If you show up at an event that you didn't know about, but you have all your stuff with you, and you didn't sign up for it, you talk to the coordinator. The rule is it's free. It's a free event for you to rent your space. You don't have to pay. Why? Because you're a walk-on, okay? You're a walk-on, and they have people that didn't show up, so they need to fill that space, and it has already been paid for. Because most of the time for vendor events, you have a non-refundable vendor fee. So read that fine print. Just read the fine print before you decide to cancel, okay, on a vendor event, because sometimes you just lose your deposit, you lose your whole fee. So what I was getting at when I was talking about this specific one is that when you get there, they have all the canopies available, because some events want you to have a certain color canopy. And to avoid that for larger events such as this, it was huge. This one they hold every year. It's huge. I didn't do it last year because there was miscommunication. I got my dates crossed. I had double booked an event, so I wasn't able to go to that one. So what happened? It was my fault. It was my fault. It was totally my fault. So they set up their own canopies. You provide your own table, setup, and chair, and they do the rest. Okay. Now that was the reason why I brought all that extra stuff up, but they did have tables and chairs, if you needed extra, available for you to rent. Events like that are pretty cool because they're coordinated and organized by the city. And when that happens, you know that the neighborhoods come out to play. So especially during Halloween. So I just so happened, wherever I go during the Halloween season, I always bring a bowl of candy with me, and that was one of the mandatory things that you had to have at your booth at that specific event. She was like, I have a bowl, I have a bag of candy for those vendors that forgot or couldn't get any on time. Do you need any? I was like, actually, no, I don't. I just came from another event in San Diego. I'm exhausted, but I'm going to go here. That was like one of the best days that I was gone all day. All right, moving on. Vendor events locations can change. So as far as locations go, you can have your event 1 year at one specific place, and then the next following year that is not available for that coordinator, so they have to change locations. Example, you guys, I've done it, seen it, experienced it all. So I did a vendor event annually at one specific location. The next year, after several years of being at this location, the following year, they had to change locations because the building had been purchased by another contractor, and he was not willing to continue the relationship he had with the coordinator and the businesses that were renting that space to do this event annually. So the location had to change. Unfortunately, I couldn't follow the location change because it was further out than I was willing to go as far as finances are. And that is another good topic to bring up right now. Just one second. I just realized my light is off. Sorry about that. So that's another thing to pick up right here, is that the locations change. So when you're doing a vendor event, and this goes for markets as well, farmers markets as well, you want to count the cost between where you're traveling from to where you're traveling to, as far as gas and mileage, and how much time you're willing to spend traveling to get to the location. Now, it's difficult for you to try and add that into everything, but you know what? You gotta. You really gotta. And sometimes it's really easy to forget that you have to pay for the gas to get there, you know, because it's just like that's not on your top priority. It's like, I gotta get this done. I gotta get that done. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna set up. Where's the location gonna go? Where am I gonna be? You know, you have several setups in your brain depending on where they're gonna fit you in on the floor plans in order for you to set up in a way that'll display your items the best, to sell them the best kind of way you can sell them. So that is another thing to get into, but we can get into that for another time. So let's continue on. Next up is your vendor space. So depending on how much you're willing to pay for your booth space, the cost fluctuates with the size. So you can purchase like I was telling you in the beginning, your cost can go from $25 all the way to $1,500 if it's a small little, you know, school event or a park event, or if it's a big harvest craft show event like that. It can fluctuate. So what you're willing to pay is how big your space is going to be. Like I know at several malls that I have gone to and vendored at, like Old Town Temecula, or the Temecula Mall, or the Moreno Valley Mall, or the Tyler Mall in Riverside. All the malls within the Redlands, they have a Thursday market night during the summertime. Oh my Gideons, you guys have got to go. If you live in the Southern California area, my husband and I found out about it when we first got married because we moved to a city that's near Redlands. It's like right there. And we were told that, hey, have you guys gone to market nights? And we're like, what are you talking about? So we go, whoo, you guys. At that point, I was doing vendor events, but I was really small scale. So I was only renting a small little, you know, 10-inch by 10-inch space from my mom, because that's literally how much I had. I would only make like one hat, one cowl, and I would make maybe like a few different colors in the set, and then have my mom display it, and everything would be in Ziplocies. One would be displayed, and everything in color formation would be displayed in a bin next to it. And that's all I would sell. I wouldn't sell very much because I didn't know very much. So you start out slowly, you guys. It's not, you could start out like me, like a grunt. I worked at low level, grunt level, and this is low level, okay? You drive with your mom at night, studying with a flashlight and doing your homework under the table after you finish setting everything up. So that's how I started out. I would set up my mom's canopies. I would travel with her everywhere. Like I said, you know, I begun from that low level to getting where I'm at now. It has taken time. I'm 42 years old. I started vendor events when I was just like teeny tiny, going, attending, and then finally helping my mom set up when I was in my preteens, and then full-fledged in my 20s when I started selling scarves and, you know, small little things like that. It wasn't anything major. So you start where you can, right? So it just depends on how big you want your space to be, is what you want to pay and what you're willing to pay and your budget for all of that. So vendor, that's the difference between a vendor and a market. Now, let's get into some market stuff. Markets are always in the same area, same parking lot, wherever their location is, it's gonna stay there. Now, I've attended 2 markets so far. I'm not very seasoned in it. My first market, I was there for 2 years. I took a year off because of 2020, and then I came back with this market now, and I've been here for a complete year this summer. And it's wild to me because I feel like I just started this farmer's market. So what I've learned with my 3 years at vending at farmer's market is that it's always in the same location. It's never going to change. The market's not going to travel unless it has to, if the contract or the agreement between the 2 partners is not in agreement anymore, and then the market relocates. Now, the market that I attend now has 2 different days and 2 different locations. So Saturday is the one that I go to at the Corona Farmers Market. And then there's another one in Mariloma. I think it's Mariloma, Harupa Valley. I can't remember, but Sunday, the following day. However, I work Monday through Friday with my kids as a stay-at-home mom. I clean, I do what I need to do, and then I run my business between certain times. And then Saturday, do my farmer's market when I come home. We do family time, whether that's going out, having fun, and then coming home, or whether it's staying home and chilling. Or if I have to I say it like it's an obligation, it's not. Or if I have plans to go spend time with my siblings and my mom, I do those things, or spend time with my friends, you know, my yarny friends that come visit me, I do that as well. So Sundays, I always take off, and that's what I encourage you guys to do. Just a little tiny sliver of a tip going in there, you guys. Take time off for yourself. If you run a business, pick one day during the week where you're just going to absolutely do nothing. Catch up on what you need to do for yourself. Okay? All right. Let's continue on for the market. It's always in the same location. It never changes. Okay? It is going to be once a week, or as this, the other market that I used to do, it was 3 times a week. So I know of 3 separate malls that do Saturdays and Sundays, and I know that the Redlands Farmers Market is every Thursday night. So it seems like Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays are most popular for farmers markets. I think they pick those days because that is just a downtime day to get a location for, you know, easy access for all the people that want to come. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my guess. Okay, moving on. For your setup, you have to bring anything and everything that you require to set up with you. I've only run into one instance where I'd have to borrow from Pauline, my previous coordinator. She is a dear friend of mine. She's moving away and I'm so sad. But Pauline, the coordinator that I dealt with my first farmer's market, she would have small things like maybe an extra couple of tables in case one of ours breaks, an extra couple of canopies in case the wind took one of ours away. Like, she had chairs, you know, she had different things that if we ran out, we can rent or borrow from her. So with, but it's different for everybody else. With this coordinator, Pam, she's very, very gracious. She's very, very kind. She's lenient with you. She's matter of fact. I love that though, because it's like you don't want somebody who's going to be too soft and like beat around, who's going to beat around the bush, you know? She's very straightforward. She's like, nope, you can't. Okay, that was that. you know? So it's appreciated to have that kind of coordinator, but it depends on which coordinator you have that's going to be available to provide those things for you. So you have to bring your own setup. Another thing for farmers market is that you have the same spot every time you come to the event. Now, here's some instances where you won't have your own spot. 2 weeks ago, I didn't come to the farmers market. I got a text from Pam. She forgot that I wasn't coming. She says, hey, there's not a lot of vendors coming today. Can you move over to my spot? You take my spot today. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be there. But that's an example. There wasn't going to be a lot of vendors, so she had to compact and bring everybody and move them towards the farmers where all the produce is, and then close it off shorter, make the farmers market a little shorter. Now, I don't know what it was about that day, because even Pam wasn't going to be there that day, but that Saturday, about half the vendors did not show up. But that is one example. Now, here's another example about you moving your booth space. If you are a newbie to the market, or if you versus a seasoned person. Now I've become seniority because I've been there a year now. Before, when I first started out, I did move once or twice just so that she can find a location for me. And I was only filling spaces of vendors that were not going to be there that day. So if I showed up, oh, so-and-so's not going to be there, why don't you take his space? And I said, okay. So I did that once or twice. And another incident happened to where, somebody needed to be next to other people for emotional support. I moved so that they could all be together and be emotional support for that person. And that is another good thing about farmers market. And it segues into this. You meet the most kindest, gracious, unbelievably talented people that you could ever meet, and you form a bond. Like I said, this person needed the emotional support. So the other vendors that had known him for a while longer than my mom and I, that had never met him before, they came together to surround him with love and kindness and support. And I just love that. And we visit each other's booth space. We support one another. I, in fact, include some of the vendors' items in some of the items that I do sell, like my mason jars, my tea ones. I buy from the local honey people, and I put their honey bears inside my mason jars. Or the lip balms. Another lady that I used to vendor with at my previous farmer's market, Sylvia Dossi, she does the lip balms. And I put that in my... So you guys can, mesh up your things. That's a good thing about farmers. That's another difference with farmers markets. I mean, it's not that you can't do that with a regular vendor event, but it's just... You see these people every week and you form a bond, and it's different from maybe sporadically seeing somebody at another event. Like with vendor events, you can be like, oh, because you're a vendor hopper, you're a vendor hopper. So you run into people that you have vended with before. So you can do that. All right, now that we've gone through the differences between the vendor events and farmers markets, let's get into some pros and cons between the two. The pros for farmers market is it's once a week, you get exposure, and you have a steady regular income. Now, for me, and I'm going to be completely transparent here, I usually make anywhere from 300 up. Now, I haven't made 300 and over in quite a while. When I first started at the farmers market, I was a commodity. I was brand new, like a shiny new toy. Everybody wanted to see what I could sell. They liked what I got or what I made and I put out there. And I just had a slew of people just, buying. And I made $600 that day. Now, I didn't make that again after that. My steady income at the farmers market is about $300 every Saturday. But it's a good $300 for 4 hours there. So you're making over, you're making about $75 an hour. And that's pretty good for a Saturday. So that's a pro. So you get there once a week, you get exposure, and you get a steady income. Another pro for a vendor or a farmer's market is you have regulars. Now, it's also a con. So I'm going to do the pro first, and then I'm going to do a con. A pro is that you get the regular customers. They repeat, so they come back because They're like, oh, I know that this item is going to be perfect for a friend of mine, a family member, or somebody I know that's having a baby shower or whatever. They come into your event on those special occasions and they purchase those items from you. Now, that is a pro as well, because they don't come until those special events, or they don't come until they need it, which means there's a small gap between the time they see you and the time they need it, for you to have like a wide empty space of no purchase things. So that's a con. A pro, another pro for farmers market and for vendor events is that it gets you out of the house, okay? It gets you away from your responsibilities. It gets you out there. It helps you if you are like me. I am one of those borderline people to where I'm an introvert, but I'm also an extrovert, okay? I have my moments where I'm just so quiet. Like when I went with Z to go meet with Deb, I let Z and Deb meet because really Deb was there to meet Z and I didn't want to interrupt and I didn't want to, we had nice conversations. We did. She was a lovely woman, but I just wanted to give them their time. I was just there to drive with Z so she wasn't alone, and meet Deb and just be all about it. So I am kind of like, I will take a step back and I will be quiet and I'll let people do their things. Like if somebody is got the same personality as me, somebody is loud like me and outgoing with their personality and they're not ashamed to do it, I will let their ADHD flag fly and I will take a back seat and I will be quiet and I will be that introverted self for myself. But that's a conscious choice that I make to, do that. And then my extrovert part is that I'm okay with greeting people when they come into my booth. Hey, how are you? How's it going? Good morning. Hello, how are you? How's everything going? Oh, I like this. I compliment, or if I'm standing in line and I see something that is like interest in another person that they're doing and I have the same interest, then I'll speak up and say. So that's another pro for me, is that it gets me out of my shell a lot more. It'll get you out of your shell a lot more. So you're out the house, you're away from being enclosed. The wild beast has been released. So, okay. Next up, you meet new people. So it's the same thing. So you can meet new people. That's all there is to it. Meet new people. So another pro for farmers market and for vendor events is large sales for special occasions or for holiday seasons. So it's kind of like if you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant, I've worked at a Del Taco and a Burger King. You get those rushes, those breakfast, dinner, and lunchtime rushes where people just go and for like 2 hours straight, there's nothing but order after order after order, prep. Next, please, thank you. Here's your order. I appreciate it. You have a good day, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that's how the holiday season is for both vendor and for farmers market. Now, farmers market, you're stationary. With vendor events, you can book your whole weekend or book your whole month of every weekend. I think I said that right. I couldn't get that out. So you can book the whole month every weekend and you get your holiday rush that way. Okay? That means you have no time. You have to bulk crochet and you just have to get as much as you can out there, knowing what is going to sell and what is not. Now, for the farmers market, you have the same thing, but the difference is you have that lull. Like I told you, when it comes to your regulars, this is the same thing. So say that you have beginning of summer, everybody's interested in finding out what you have to sell for the summer, but also at the same time, you get less people because they see crochet and they think hot. That's not for right now. That's for winter. We're going to hold off. But I get those people that come in with paper and pencil, or, they come with their cameras and they just want to take pictures so that they can write down the names of the item and next to the name of the person they're going to gift it to. So I've had people come in and do that as well, which I would tell them, hey, why don't you let me know, write it down. If you want to purchase it now, you can. If not, because once it sells, and I'm probably not going to repeat that same colorway again. So you always want to be honest and on top of everything with your customers. Another pro for markets and for vendor events is that crocheters are huge in the winter season. So for winter, it's always a big thing for us to have all of our beanies and everything. And it's just like everything is huge sale, especially for, you know, the winter, Christmas coming around. And you get those visitors that come from out of town and they live in like maybe Utah or how do you say it? Washington and Maine. So maybe even like the, let's see, eastern and central states where they get really, really cold and the only time they get summer is one time a month. You know, like Washington, Seattle area, they get nothing but rain almost 365. And then I know for Boston, they snow and only get no snow for maybe about 3 months. The same with Texas. You know, it's summertime is 3 months and the rest of the year it's freezing cold, snowing, and storms. So prep up. Bulk up on those beanies, guys, and all those cardigans and wearables that'll keep them warm during the winter seasons. And especially for those visitors that come from out of town and out of state, and they come in and then they leave with all of your product with your name on it. Future orders, that's another pro. Okay, let's get into some cons. Some cons for farmers market and for vendor events. For farmers markets, it's once a week. I know I said it was a pro, but it's also a con, and I think I covered it, but we're going to do it again because I can't remember. Once a week. So that only gives you 6 days to work on what you need to refill your inventory or restock your inventory as far as what you've sold that previous Saturday or that previous day. And then you have to work as hard as you can to get all of those inventory and restock refilled in 6 days. And you guys see from my weekly vlogs how much I try to get done as much as possible, especially when introducing a new item. And stay tuned, you guys, for Friday's video because I am introducing a new item just for my Facebook page, not for the farmers market. Another con for farmers market vendor events is that it's for farmers market, it's rain or shine, okay, for our specific one. But us regular vendors that are not food or produce vendors, we get the option of not coming if the wind is too high. My product will fly everywhere. Like I've had to lately because of the Santa Ana winds, I've had to anchor down my clothes racks that carry my pegboards and everything on them. I've had to bungee cord them to the legs of my canopy because they have fallen down several times this previous month. So I had to do that because of the winds. So if it's raining, I can't show up. I've shown up on days where it's fine, but then I drive up and my coordinator is flagging me down and she was like, you need to go home. I said, why? And she was like, I didn't realize, I was so focused on getting there and I was zoning out. And this happens to me sometimes where I'm just not even realizing that it's raining and it's super windy. Now, it wasn't too bad. So by the time I got to the market, the rain had stopped and the forecast had said that it wasn't supposed to rain too hard, that it was only going to rain between 6 and 7. And I get there right like between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. As long as I start setting up at 7, I can be finished by the time market starts at 8:30. So I was like, oh, no problem. But then when I got there, the winds were so heavy. Like you can't tell how heavy the winds are when you're driving 70 miles per hour on a freeway. So when I got there, it was just so windy and it started to drizzle again as we started to talk within 10 minutes of our conversation. The rain was coming down, then it started to hail and she was like, no, go home. This is how it's going to be all day. So she's very good when it comes to watching out for her vendors. Now, the farmers, like the produce people, it's mandatory for them to be there. So that is one thing when it comes to farmers markets. Now, this rain or shine is also a con for vendor events. when you fill out your application, when you fill out your contract, please be sure to read the whole thing. The fine lines, the fine print at the bottom before you sign, because it can and most likely will say non-refundable deposit in case of any kind of weather or personal cancellation. Now, if the event has to shut down because of weather, you won't get your deposit back. You won't get your vendor fee back. If you decide not to show up because of personal circumstances, they're not interested in your personal circumstances. And that's the hard facts and the hard truth. They're not, because their business is not your business and your business is not theirs. And this is a rough truth to spit out to you guys, but it's the honest truth. They won't care because they're not living your life and they're only coordinating one event. So your personal information or the personal things that you're going through doesn't apply to them. It's not applicable to them or to the event or what they're trying to coordinate. So your vendor fee will not be refunded. Make sure you read the fine print. It's very rare that I've come across a application that has not said non-refundable, non-negotiable vendor fee. So sorry, but that's just one thing that I had to, like, who else are you going to learn these things from? You got to be honest. So another con for both farmers markets and vendor events is that large sales are seasonal. Like I said, it was a good thing if you sell them at the farmers market. You get the seasonal person or the seasonal rush. Okay, you get that seasonal rush. So it's a seasonal rush for the farmers market. So you get that wide kind of break during the summertime. People aren't really buying too much except for those non-crocheted items that you happen to have on your booth space. And that'll encourage you guys to get into, is those non-crocheted items that you have or that you can think of, or just keychains. Make small things that are not wearable items. That way it'll fill up spaces. I don't often rotate my seasonal items. I tend to keep everything out there. And that's something that I've learned from my mom, because she was just like, it doesn't matter what season it's in. People are going to be here from out of town, out of state, and they're going to be looking for a certain something. You're just going to happen to be that person that has it on your table. So make sure that when you bring your stuff, because there's always going to be that one person who's going to ask about something that you decided not to bring because you didn't think it was, according to the occasion. So bring it. Well, you guys, that is it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed what I was spilling at you today, spitting at you, trying to get at you, trying to, give you a little bit of the details and the ins and outs of farmers market versus vendor events and the pros and cons of both. I tried not to venture too much out of what we were talking about, and I tried. Hopefully it came across as organized, because I did write it down. So I tried to stay in my lane, you guys. I tried to do my best. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to ring that notification bell. Click on the all button. It'll notify you when I drop another video. Please, you guys, please don't forget to have a blessed rest of your Wednesday, a blessed rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Hey, you guys, welcome back to my channel. Refuge Tea here, back with another video for you guys with my granny's closet. I messed that up already. Before we get into today's video, let's get into some admin. Check it all out. Not to be confused with my granny's closet group. As at the end, that is where we go to congregate and conversate about all things good and crafty. Yes, I totally messed that up. T-shirt of, wait, I forgot. Okay, we're gonna do this again. I don't know. You can also be a part of a annual